Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody, let's go.
Good evening, or good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits. We got some things we got to get into. Okay, we got some things we have got to get into. We are here specifically for one thing and one thing only. It is to talk about this document, okay? These documents that I'm sure a lot of you guys have been curious about and just interested in hearing what I have to say about the whole doggone thing. It is pretty crazy out here. Outside of all this, there is a lot of stuff that's going on right now in regards to the hurricane. And of course, we're keeping an eye on that as well. I may be on a little bit later on, just to cover some of the bases about that as well. It has been pretty crazy, to say the least, the things that have been, going on revolving around that. But I told you guys I'd be here to talk about this and go through the documents in regards to this appeal. And of course, I am kind of curious. Is the diddler gonna get free? Will he get granted freedom? I'm curious. He's supposed to be in court tomorrow, so we will be watching. And hopefully I'll have some friends join us in the conversation, and I'm really looking forward to that. So please do me a favor before we get into everything, because we are going to be just doing a document deep dive, okay? A document look-see-loo, okay? So please do me a favor, hit that like button down below if you're watching on any of these platforms. If you're watching on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, Rumble, please make sure you hit that like button down below. If you are watching on those platforms, please be sure to hit that follow button, okay? Follow me on TikTok, follow me on Rumble, follow me on the YouTubes, or hit that subscribe button on my YouTubes, okay? Hit that subscribe button on this main channel. Go to my secondary channel, because I do have another video about to drop in about 5 minutes on the second channel, the Pascal Show clips. So make sure you are subscribed to that second channel, okay? Because Beyonce and Jay-Z spoke out through their lawyer, and it's very interesting stuff. That's all I'm going to say. So, and that one drops in about 5 minutes from now. So make sure you are subscribed, and make sure the notification bell is set to all, so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. A lot of times it is random, okay? Especially with my wild and crazy and busy life, okay? I hop on when I can, and I give you the news while I can, okay? So subscribe. Don't forget to hit that join button down below. Become a member if you're watching on YouTube. Please and thank you. That'd be amazing. All right. Don't forget, of course, if you want to support even further. All right. One thing is for sure, I do have a membership set up on my second channel as well. So if you want to go over there and support the second channel too, you're more than welcome. Okay. There's a membership over there as well. All right. Now, hit that join button, become a member, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. I also am on locals.com/The Pascal Show. I even dropped this document on Patreon and on Locals earlier today. So I'm sharing a lot of stuff on those platforms. If that even tickles your fancy, check out Patreon, check out Locals. All right. And of course, please go check out my merch, pascalmerch.com. Okay. Check that doggone stuff out. All right. Your boy's working hard out here in these streets. And I also make some really cool t-shirts and hoodies. Okay. And some jogging suits stuff and all that, which is nice, by the way. Okay. But we got to get straight into this. Okay, guys. As you guys already know, Diddy, the diddler, the man, the monster. Some people say he's innocent. Very few. But there are a lot of people out here that are wondering, is he going to be set free? The reason why I say this is because there has been a new filing for a bail appeal. He is trying for the third time now to see if he can get free. They had a bail hearing before. He was granted no bail. Second time he tried, which was like a day or two later, they tried again and was again denied. Now he's trying this again, but this time it's with a new judge. And we talked about this before with one of our good friends, lawyer as well, Andrea Burkhart. She said, hey, I mean, if this judge decides to grant him bail, one, optically, this will be very bad for the judge because the judge will automatically get lumped into conspiracies, right? Not only just lumped into theories and conspiracies and all that, but people will sit there and go, why would you let this person who is clearly a menace, clearly can go and make a lot of these accusers go and run away? Why would you let a monster back out of its cage? That's one of the things, okay? That's one of the things I am very, very curious about as well, if this goes in that direction. Now, there is still a good possibility that he can get bail. But in my mind, I go, wait a second. You got 100 and some odd, 130 plus people that are all sitting at the edge of their seats right now, waiting at bated breath in fear that this monster will get let go. If that actually happens, do you realize how many people are going to be changing their story? How many people are going to sit there and go, I'm dropping my chart, I'm dropping my lawsuit, I'm out of here? Do you know how many? I'm going to tell you, a lot. The only reason why I think a lot of these people have stepped forward is because they know that this man is locked up. Sure, he still has influence through his jail cell. Even while he's being locked up, he has potential for influence and power out there in these streets because there are still people working underneath him, working for him. There's people out here that still believe he's done no wrong. But at the end of the day, he's locked up for a reason. This is a very dangerous man, and I think we all can agree on that. But if he's let go, the victims that truly are victims, they may stay silent forever. And that's not good. Now, I know that there's some people out here that will fake it. I think we all can agree that that possibility is inevitable. But at the same time, we want, of course, the people coming out. And yes, truth matters. Absolutely, I agree. It is witness intimidation, etc. Okay? Scary stuff, guys. Okay? Scary, scary stuff. Hold on, guys. So, here's the appeal, guys. So let's get into this. All right? And the thing is again, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot that they're saying in here that we've heard before, but there's some other things that he's adding in here because he's trying to make it seem like, hey, I'm a victim. The victim that says is a victim is actually the villain. It's their fault, not mine. I have nothing to do with it. So on and so forth, right? It's trash, in my personal opinion. It's trash. But he's going to do everything he can to get free. That's it. He's going to do everything he can to get free. And another question I still have is why did this first, the original judge, why did that judge step down? Why did that judge disappear? That I'm still very curious about. Does that have to do with anything in the Diddy orbit? Or is it another situation? But I think it's very odd that this judge suddenly, just out of nowhere, oh, can't make it. Can't be there anymore. Got to bring in another judge. And again, this new judge could literally go, I like that he's throwing 50 mil. And I like how he's sitting there saying that he ain't a flight risk. I take his word for it. He seems trustworthy. Yeah. Doesn't that seem a little bit odd to you? Doesn't it though? So I hope that doesn't happen. I really hope that's not the case. But at the same time, anything is possible. Let's be real. So let's get into this, guys. All right. Because it's like 31 pages, but a lot of it's kind of fluff. So we're going to skim through the fluff, which we already got to. We already skimmed through a good portion of the fluff. So let's get into this piece because it's really all right here, which is very interesting to me. Okay. So let's rock and roll. Bail, quote unquote, may be denied only in a rare case of extreme and unusual circumstances. This is from, from a case, okay, from United States versus Barrios and Barrios. Okay, so this case does not involve extreme and unusual circumstances, but none that typically foreclose bail or warrant forcing Sean Combs to defend himself from a prison cell. What is extreme and unusual about this case is that Combs was detained immediately after he was charged, even though he has been in the spotlight his entire life, with many of his purported antics and episodes being widely reported in the press and known to law enforcement authorities. Indeed, hardly a risk of flight, which is funny to me. He is a 54-year-old father of 7, a U.S. citizen, an extraordinarily successful artist, businessman, and philanthropist, and one of the most recognizable people on earth. The sensationalism surrounding his arrest has distorted the bail analysis. Mr. Combs was not released pending trial, even though he offered to comply with restrictive conditions that would have prevented any conceivable risk of flight or danger. I'm sorry. Wasn't Russell Simmons a flight risk? And what happened? Isn't he? I'm sorry. What I mean is, isn't he a very recognizable face? Or at least he was back in the day. Wasn't he a recognizable face for the most part? And then he kicked rocks. He disappeared. And now he's in Bali, right? So you can miss me with the nonsense of like he's not a flight risk. Nah, he's a flight risk. He can hop on a plane and just fly away. Okay? So the district court detained Mr. Combs in a conclusory, bare bones oral ruling, apparently because of unspecified concerns that he would, quote unquote, obstruct justice and intimidate witnesses. Yes, he would. He already was doing that, by the way, before he was even arrested. The government's arguments about the risk of obstruction were based on speculation, resting mainly on untested allegations about communications with witnesses in civil cases and communications initiated by supposed witnesses and not Mr. Combs. So they're basically saying that this whole thing happened. They called the people were calling him. He was just on the receiving end of these phone calls, not the other way around. This is what his lawyers are claiming. Okay, they're saying that this is baseless, right? They're saying that these claims are untested allegations, right? So then aren't what you're saying untested allegations as well? I don't know. Just asking for a friend. Something to think about, don't you think? Anyway, let's continue on. The government even claimed his public denial of a former girlfriend's allegations in a civil lawsuit constituted attempts to obstruct justice. He's talking about Cassie, if I'm correct. Okay. So the government even claimed his public denial of a girlfriend's allegations in a civil lawsuit constituted attempts to obstruct justice. If he's out there sitting there saying this is a witch hunt, it's all fake, it's fake news, and it's a witch hunt, that's all it is. And you got lawyers out here speaking on his behalf as well, basically saying that this is all just one big ass witch hunt. Yeah, sounds about right. It sounds like he was just lying, which he was, because let's not forget the footage. And then what did he do? I'm not a perfect man. I found God. I found rehab. I found therapy. I'm just a man. Trials and tribulations. Whoa. You know what I mean? Ignore me with, miss me with the nonsense. Okay. So if denying accusations by civil plaintiffs could justify pretrial detention, the liberty protections of the Bail Reform Act and the Constitution, not to mention the First Amendment, would be meaningless. They even threw out the First Amendment. They even threw in the Constitution. Okay, throughout the bail proceedings below, Mr. Combs rebutted the government's proffers, but without fact-finding or analysis, the district court endorsed the government's exaggerated rhetoric and ordered Mr. Combs detained. How is this rhetoric if they have proof? They even presented proof saying, hey, he been calling up, he been doing his thing. We have records of that, so on and so forth. This man is a flight risk. Look at how much money he's got. Look at how he has places in multiple places. He's got private jets, etc. Come on, man. They're exaggerating the rhetoric, in my personal opinion. Okay? But let's continue. In so doing, the court committed legal error, rejected a plainly sufficient bail package. We're going to talk about that in a second. And violated its obligations under the Bail Reform Act. Okay, so here's the thing. Rejected a plainly sufficient bail package. You realize what he was saying in the bail package, right? He said, I'll take substance tests. I won't talk to no women's. I'll be holed up in my home. I won't use the internet. I won't use a phone. I'll just be home. Do you realize what that sounds like? That sounds like jail. Doesn't that sound a little bit like jail? Oh, let's not forget, I'll wear an anklet. So I won't leave the home. I'll wear an anklet. I won't talk to no women's. I will only invite family and friends. I won't contact any of these witnesses. You can continually give me drug tests. That sounds like jail to me. I mean, that's basically, yes, it is house arrest, but I'm just saying, ain't that jail? The only difference is he's living in a big-ish house with plush leather couches and stuff like that. And he still will have the ability and he will still have the ability and access to other people. You're telling me he's not going to go and see his sycophantic people, the people that suck up to him, his fanatics, the people who do anything for him, boss? Come on, y'all. No. Oh, I'm not going to see no women. But then he has a woman sneak over and he's like, hey, man, I'll just throw you a couple bones, bro. Just let me have a little bit of time with my girl. You feel me? No women's. He may not be able to do the freak offs, but you don't think he's going to be able to go like, hey, come on, man. You know, it's been a minute. You feel me? Like, hey, let me hand over a couple racks to you, cash. All right. Just let me have a little bit of time. You feel me? Or the man's. Okay. Or even the man's as well. It's been a minute, you know. Let me slide a little bit of that money in your direction. You feel me? And then just look that way. You didn't see me. And you didn't see them. Is that cool? I think that's ridiculous. Okay? I think that's ridiculous. And I think it's very possible. Oh, yeah, hey, come on, one a little sip of wine, one little bump. No big deal. You didn't see it. You didn't see that happen. Come on now. He's just in a bigger version of jail. So just keep him locked up. So Mr. Combs is presumed innocent. He traveled to New York to surrender because he knew he was going to be indicted. He took extraordinary steps to demonstrate that he intended to face and contest the charges, not flee. He presented a bail package that would plainly stop him from posing a danger to anyone or contacting any witnesses. No, he did not. It's not enough, guys. Okay? It's not enough. You got to miss me with the nonsense. Okay? It's not enough. That this bail package is mediocre at best. You're talking about a person, sure, he's dropping 50 mil. Yeah, that sounds sexy. But at the same time, what about the 133 individuals that are filing lawsuits right now as we speak, are in the process of filing or have filed already? What about all of them? You don't think that he's going out there and gets in some, has some access to some people that are willing to help him make some of these people disappear or make some deals happen under the table? Like what some of these celebrities are doing right now. They're all settling things outside of court. A lot of these celebrities are running crazy, worried and scared out their minds. Keep this dude locked up. That's what I think. Okay. Under the Bail Reform Act, quote unquote, liberty is the norm, and detention prior to trial or without trial is the carefully limited exception. So, Mr. Combs is entitled to release under federal rule of Appellate Procedure 9 and immediate release pending disposition of this appeal under the federal rule of Appellate Procedure 9A3. So, issues presented. Whether the district court's obstruction and witness tampering conclusion lacked a factual basis and misapplied the law. 2, whether this district court erred in concluding no conditions would reasonably assure the safety of any other person and the community. Okay. Whether the district court erroneously failed to make the factual findings required by the Bail Reform Act and weigh the required statutory factors. Well, there's plenty of factors to put into consideration. Okay? There's plenty of things that you can put in consideration here. Okay? Let's be real. Let's be real. There's plenty of factors to put in here that I think that would stand enough for the court to look at this and go, no. Let him stay in there. Like I said, you're telling me that the government, the feds, did not pose a strong enough argument? That's ridiculous to me. Okay, background. Okay. This says A, Mr. Combs' actions during the investigation demonstrate that he poses no conceivable risk of flight. I think that's funny, but let's see what they say. Long before his indictment, Mr. Combs took numerous steps demonstrating his trustworthiness and commitment to proving his innocence in this case. Since early 2024, he understood he was the target of a serious federal investigation. Nonetheless, he immediately directed his counsel to proactively reach out to prosecutors. He subsequently took extraordinary steps to voluntarily surrender and try to satisfy any possible government concerns about flight risk. Okay? Months before the indictment, on March 13th, 2024, Mr. Combs' counsel emailed the assigned AUSA, okay, to introduce himself and asked to speak with the prosecutors so he could provide information about the case. So he renewed that request 5 days later. The government never responded. Maybe because they were busy looking things up and maybe they didn't need him at that time. You got to remember though, if they're reaching out and it's like, "Hi, my name's, Diddy. Sup? Nice to meet you, buddy." They're going to sit there and like, "Okay, well, what we have right now is a person that's potentially two-faced." Okay? We can't sit here and just automatically believe everything he's presenting to us on the platter, because God only knows, he could be smiling in our faces and then right behind our backs, as soon as we turn around, he's trying to attack us, right? So of course they're not going to sit there and go, "Well, wow, thank you so much, Mr. Combs. Sit on down. Let's tell you what we're working on so that you can cover all those things up." Okay? We're going to give you fair heads up. It's March, so you got plenty of time before we arrest you in September. So, you want to sit down? We can chop it up. Let's talk about it. We'll tell you exactly what we're piling up against you as far as proof and evidence. They're not going to do that. They're going to be like, "Nice to meet you, Mr. Combs. Yeah, thank you so much for letting us know that that we're looking into yo ish. And we'll see you when we see you. Deuces." That's it. But he thinks he needs to reach out and have a conversation because he knows for a fact he's got that charm. He's got that je ne sais quoi about him that people sit there and go, "Oh, I like him. Here are all the files, baby. Here you go. I trust you. Go ahead. Take a look. See all the facts and all the information we got up against you." They're not going to do that. When they're ready to talk to you, that's when they are there at your house, okay? Arresting your ass or knocking on your door being like, "Can we talk?" Okay? And not Tevin Campbell. So let's continue on. On March 25th of this year, the government executed search warrants at his residence in Miami in Los Angeles, which we all know. Mr. Combs was personally searched, as was his airplane. Counsel agreed to accept service of 2 grand jury subpoenas to his businesses. On April 1st, April Fool's Day, defense counsel took custody of his passport and advised the government that it would not be returned to him and he would not leave the country. Okay. Counsel also promised to advise the government in advance of any domestic travel by Combs, and did so, sharing his whereabouts and travel plans at least 9 times from May to August of this year. So just recently, okay? All the way up to just recently. Mr. Combs also put the private airplane up for sale because the investigation and notified the government accordingly. And he advised that multiple relatives, including his mother and 4 minor daughters, had given counsel their passports. So his own mama, okay, and his 4 daughters forked over their passports. Okay, now here's the thing. Him forking over his passport, family forking over their passports as well. Okay, cool. That is a step in the right direction, but that doesn't mean that this guy can't get a fake, doesn't have an extra one on the side. I mean, I'm just saying, there's still so many possibilities of this mother lover being able to pick up and kick rocks, right? He's still a flight risk no matter how many ways you look at it. This is a man with a lot of money. He has a lot to lose if he is found guilty, if he is left locked up. It's not good, okay, if he's let go. He also paid off the outstanding debt, which we already know about the $18 million on his $48 million Miami home, okay? So he could provide unencumbered security for any future bail package. Okay, so because he was like, "Listen, I will drop a 50 mil Here's $50 million. So if I run, there's like, let me put this out so that you know for a fact I ain't going to run. And again, we obviously can see that Diddy believes that he's innocent. He truly believes that all of this is fake. He believes that everything, all those freak offs, all the stuff, all these allegations of spiked baby oil and all that stuff, he believes all of that is consensual. Now, I will say this just to err on the side of, caution. We do not know whether or not the spiked baby oil is real or not. That's just an allegation. But at the same time, all the freak offs, all the videos in which people are, enjoying a good time whilst under the influence at these freak offs, they're being filmed, okay? While doing the sideways samba, while doing the hibbity dibbity. And if they really did not know that they were getting filmed, that's against the law as well. Now, does it mean that he spends the rest of his remaining days behind bars for that? No. He'll still do time, but still, you still have that footage as well. Not to mention the Cassie video at the hotel. During this time, counsel continued conferring with the government regarding its grand jury subpoenas. Counsel withdrew prior counsel's motions to quash, conducted voluminous searches, and produced over 144,000 pages of documents. Wow. Finally, when counsel informed Mr. Combs that his arrest was likely imminent, he immediately relocated to New York City from Miami on September 5th to surrender. At that time, his counsel informed the government of his intent to surrender. Counsel offered to continually share Mr. Combs' location with the government and asked for a time when Mr. Combs could surrender. Very interesting. And still, no matter what, law enforcement still went in and arrested him the day before he was allegedly supposed to go in and turn himself in. Now, is that for shock value? Is that to expose him out there, embarrass him and whatnot? Maybe that is. Maybe that is. Maybe the feds found stuff that would anger them so much that they're like, you know what? We're getting him right now. No. We're getting him right now. He gonna learn today. The whole world needs to know that this guy's a monster, and we're gonna treat him as such. Maybe that's what happened. I still want to know what inspired them to arrest him a day early. That's one thing that hasn't been answered yet. But moving on. B. A was before. Now we're at B. Arrest and charges. Despite Mr. Combs' offer to surrender on September 16th, the government arrested him on a 3-count indictment charging racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, and interstate transportation to engage in pros. I'll just use that word. Okay? You know what I'm saying. Workers. All right? The government claims the quote unquote core of this case is freak off activity, which allegedly involved elaborate and produced performance that Combs arranged, directed, pleasured himself during, and often electronically recorded. Combs believes this evidence will show that to the extent such activities occurred, all individuals who participated were adults voluntarily engaged in consensual hibbity-dibbity. This is going to be his main argument. Do you understand this, right? This is going to be his main argument. He's going to sit there and say, this was all consensual. All of it. Every single time we were out there kicking it, doing our thing, doing the hibbity, doing all this spicy content and all this, it was all consensual. One thing he's going to have a hard time doing, guys, the one thing he's going to have a hard time doing is proving that it was all consensual. Because it's not like he's going up. Because, in certain, when you're looking at like there's certain procedures when it comes to filming things and stuff like that. You can sign a release form. You can even do something where you go, I approve, like, hi, my name is, I am of age and I approve being in this video or being in this this movie or whatever it may be. Okay, it's not only just spicy content, but they literally can sit there and say, do you approve? You are of sound mind and body to be here. You approve to be in this video, this music video, or this spicy content. They can sit there and go, yeah, I approve. Let's go, right? But if he's just going, come on in, everybody, it's time to get loose and lather each other with baby oil. And they just go in there, woo, and he's just pressing record, and there's this little red dots hiding behind plush pillows and stuff. There's no consent in that. He also claims that these are adults, when we're understanding that that's not entirely true, that there could be some moments in his time that he was engaging in activities with underage, with the minors, which is not good. That's also a crime. Yeah. So he's going to have that argument. This is what his team is going to literally go and lead with. We can now know for a fact that that's what's going to happen. Okay. And also Claudia on TikTok said video might show they are sedated. Yeah, that could very well be what it is here too. Because if they're all flipping and flopping all over the place and they have no motor functions, motor skills whatsoever, that's a dead giveaway, right? But that's going to be his argument. See, no. See, now this is all consensual now. Everybody that came in here and it was like hedonism 65,000. Okay. It was all consensual. See, bail proceedings. Mr. Combs was arraigned on the 17th of September, before Magistrate Judge Tarnofsky, hopefully I'm saying that right, and pled not guilty. The government sought detention, arguing that Mr. Combs presented a flight risk or a risk of flight, danger to the community, and risk of obstruction and witness tampering, which I absolutely 110% agree. Despite Mr. Combs' robust bail proposal, Judge Tarnofsky detained him. He appealed. The district court, Carter J., held a bail hearing on the next day, the 18th. The court began by noting that the government, quote unquote, primarily seeks detention based on a risk of flight and the danger of obstruction of justice and witness tampering. The court indicated that based on the parties' written submissions, its quote unquote lesser concern was risk of flight. And its bigger concern dealt with the danger of obstruction and witness tampering. I think that's the biggest one for sure. Sure, he could find a way to run away and fly away. There's a way. There's ways. If there's a will, and if you got monies, if you got them Skrillas, you could definitely find a way. Especially when you got that big money, that long game money. I'm sure you can find a way to hop onto a plane and fly across the Atlantic and get the hell away, right? But then again, they say the less concern is him running. The more concern is him trying to scare these witnesses and these other victims away. I think it's a big concern on all things, but that is a big concern for sure. All right. Notice while he's locked up, 120 people have stepped forward. Given we don't know all of them are telling the truth or not, but we will find out soon enough now, won't we? So the government, The government reiterated the indictment's allegations and only vaguely alluded to possible witness testimony and evidence, primarily relying on a widely publicized video of Mr. Combs and Cassie. Okay. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but this DV incident, okay? The government also mentioned text messages and phone calls between Mr. Combs and a potential witness or potential witnesses, primarily witnesses in civil lawsuits filed against Combs. The government went so far as to argue that Mr. Combs' public statements that a civil lawsuit was riddled with lies were quote unquote attempts by him to obstruct justice. Okay. Regarding March 5th's video, defense counsel explained that Mr. Combs and victim one, Cassie, shared a 10-year romantic relationship that was often mutually toxic. Counsel noted that countless written communications tend to negate any lack of consent and any coercion regarding their intimate activity, and cited evidence showing a long-term loving relationship that became strained by mutual infidelity and jealousy. The quote-unquote overwhelming written communications describing their consensual intimate relationship, including communications concerning their mutual decision to bring a third party into their intimacy. The violence depicted on the 5th in that video was entirely separate, stemming from jealousy, from infidelity 8.5 years ago. Now, here's the thing. They're now trying to say that the stuff that Cassie went through, I feel like they're trying to belittle Cassie's experience, what her claims are, the experiences that she went through. They're trying to say like, oh, no. It was fueled by chemicals, okay, substances, and infidelity on both parties. And then, of course, they're saying these written communications that they had, these text messages that they had, and I'm assuming maybe emails, I don't know, were because they were arguing over the fact that maybe he wanted to bring another girl in, or she wanted to bring another girl or guy in, or him too. Let's not forget that too. But yeah, so that's what they're saying. Oh, no. This is just a toxic relationship. You got it all wrong. And the things that happen is stemming from jealousy because she was cheating or he was cheating, whoever. That's what they're claiming. This is the excuse. Keep your hands to yourselves. Okay, number one. Number two, you can't tell me that is the only, nah. You also got to remember, the feds are claiming that video is actually her trying to run away from a freak off. Just so you know, that a freak off is actually in process while she is trying to run away. And then, of course, jealousy from infidelity. Why would he use his feet? Why would he attack her in the way that he attacks her? I'm just saying, okay? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's reckless, wrong, and I think it's ridiculous that we're even reading this and they're sitting there saying, oh yeah, this was just, this is a long-term loving relationship. No, it wasn't. This was an incredibly dangerous relationship, long story short. Defense counsel cited interviews with half a dozen male escorts who participated in these freak-offs, described by the government, and confirmed they never witnessed anything remotely non-consensual. Half a dozen, though. Okay. There's so many more that are coming out and speaking right now as we speak. Counsel explained that Mr. Combs and Cassie both suffered from serious addiction problems at the time of the video and subsequently participated in rehab before eventually separating in 2018. Well, yay, congratulations. But at the same time, nah, I'm not here for it. Here's the other thing, too. If Cassie was lying, why settle so quickly? Just let that sink in for a second. If Cassie was lying, why settle so fast? Something to think about. Counsel further explained Mr. Combs' communications regarding Cassie's lawsuit. Years after the couple's separation, a lawyer representing Cassie demanded, oh, we all heard this story. It's a tale as old as time. But let's look at this, shall we? So a lawyer representing Cassie demanded a $30 million payment from Mr. Combs in exchange for the rights to a tell-all book Cassie had supposedly written. We already know this story. This is the thing. This is the ship. Wait, this is the lawsuit that launched 1,000 ships. Okay? So, when he refused, Cassie retained new counsel and filed a lawsuit, which was quickly concluded with a large settlement. One of the fastest settlements in the history of settlements, by the way. We all know that. This prompted a torrent of other lawsuits. Duh. Like I've said a million times before, Cassie was basically the boy with his finger in the dam. And as soon as she filed that lawsuit, she pulled that finger out the dam, started to leak. So a few other lawsuits started to trickle out. And now we're at the place where the whole dam just burst open and it's a tidal wave. And now it's going to be everybody and their mama. A unicorn too? Damn. It's going to be crazy. You're going to see so many random things in there. You'll be like, you too? What? You know what I mean? How were you even invited to one of these freak offs? You know what I mean? But Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs. It's going to be like that. It's going to be wild. Like I said, it's going to be everything from people who are telling the truth to it being an absolute circus. Wait for it, because it's coming. Okay? And it possibly already started. But we have no proof of that yet. Okay? We have no proof of that. But this prompted a torrent of lawsuits. Although Mr. Combs communicated with others about the conduct alleged in these civil suits, including individuals the government now characterizes as quote-unquote victims, at the time, he knew nothing about the SDNY's investigation and was not engaging in any attempted obstruction. Okay. I mean, he was saying what he needed to say. I got you. Okay? Bruh, gotcha. But at the same time, that's weak. It's weak. It's a weak argument to present. That's just me. To me, it feels like they're moving the goalpost, but I digress. All right. The government had no response other than to say that Mr. Combs certainly suspected the possibility of an investigation, citing his statements. He was not supposed to be speaking on the phone. Defense counsel also rebutted the government's other obstruction and witness tampering allegations regarding a civil lawsuit filed against Mr. Combs on September 10th of this year. After that lawsuit was filed, Mr. Combs spoke with that individual, or with an individual the lawsuit identified as a prominent witness to his alleged violence. The individual in question was very upset about public publicity and wanted to make a public statement that her personal experience derived from the lawsuit's allegations. Diverged. That her personal experience diverged from the lawsuit's allegations, which is interesting because you got to remember this is the other girl from Dirty Money, just so you know. And so she's, as soon as Dawn Richard put out that lawsuit and said, we were all there, we saw him put his hands on Cassie, Ursher was there, Neo was there, a bunch of people were all witness to see this stuff. This particular individual, I'm forgetting her name right now, but she comes out with a statement a day or two after saying, I wasn't there. I didn't see nothing. I've never seen Diddy put his hands on anybody before. This is news to me. But we're going to talk about that in a second here as well. Let's go. As counsel explained, this witness was represented by an attorney at the time of the communications and could be an important defense witness with whom the defense will likely continue speaking. Oh, okay. So they're still going to be talking to homegirl. Even after all this stuff, they're still going to contact this witness. Interesting. Hopefully it's just the lawyers and not Diddy. But let's continue on. Counsel further explained that Mr. Combs had, quote unquote, with counsel's blessing, called potential defense witnesses to let them know that counsel would reach out to speak with them. But all you need to do is make one phone call or send out one text message, and that's it. They don't need to know everything. Hey, my reps, my lawyers are going to be hollering at you about this whole situation. Just want to let you know. All right, bet. Click, that's it. Not 30 some odd phone calls and a whole bunch of text messages later, you finally get in touch with that person. That's trash to me. You're clearly having conversations with the person that could be obstructing or could be tampering with the case. You shouldn't be talking to no witnesses. Real talk. But again, once again, they're going, no. He was just calling her to let her know that they're going to be reaching out to her. And like I said, how many phone calls do you need for somebody to get that? Okay, I can say 2. I'll say 2. I'll say 2 phone calls. All right? 2. And that's me being nice. Because you could easily send out a text message or a phone call. That's it. Boom. Done. It's a wrap. Done. Send out an email. I can't talk to you. Can't respond to me, but I'm just letting you know here, these are the people. You need to respond to them, talk to them, so on and so forth. My name is Bennett and I ain't in it. Tell them what you know. Bye. Don't want to tamper with nothing. But he's not doing that. Okay? He didn't do that. That's my opinion, though. Okay? Notably, search warrant affidavits disclosed to the defense on October 7th confirm citizens redaction. Okay? But during its proffer to the court, the government concealed this fact, which completely undermines its claim that the timing of the contacts with the witness in September suggests obstruction. But I'm telling you right now, if he knew and if there was a conversation and the lawsuit had already been dropped and it was already out there for the public and YouTubers and reporters and whatnot had already been reporting it, and he's having a conversation with this girl after the fact, yeah, that's a big problem. Okay? That's a big problem, in my personal opinion. Although the government vaguely describes contacts with grand jury witnesses, described contacts with 2 grand jury witnesses, it proffered no evidence of any threats or intimidation. The government could only state that there were 14 total contacts between Mr. Combs and 1 witness, and another witness who was contacted multiple times, quote unquote, multiple times. Defense counsel explained these contacts involved no obstruction or witness tampering. For example, 1 witness contacted Mr. Combs not the other way around. She reached out to Mr. Combs and told him, I'm a grand jury witness. After Mr. Combs informed defense counsel he was instructed not to contact the witness anymore and didn't. Okay. Of course, the defense explained it must, quote unquote, continue to interview witnesses to conduct a responsible defense investigation. Like I said, it's very, very interesting. I think it's trash in my personal opinion. All right. You got a whole bunch of people that are potentially trying to speak the truth. It's too many things. There's too much going on here to stop people. There's too much potential for corruption, basically, in my personal opinion. Okay. Mr. Combs proposed a robust bail package with extremely restrictive conditions. Yeah, he's giving himself these restrictions, by the way. Okay. He's like, I no man's, no women's, no nothing. Here's $50 million. Here's this, and this. You can take my mama's home. You can take all the things I got. Doesn't work for me. Okay. So he proposed a strong bail package. Prior to the district court hearing, the proposed conditions included, which we already know all of these, but we'll go through these really, really fast. So a $50 million bond, okay, from selling his home and his mama's home. Travel restricted to the southern district of Florida and southern and eastern districts of New York to attend court, meet with counsel, and attend medical appointments. Okay, so here's the thing, really, really quick before we blaze through this. He could just stay in New York and just have doctors in New York. Why does he need to fly all over the place and travel all over the place, especially to Florida? Okay, Florida about to be underwater here for a second. Okay, praying for you guys. Real talk. It's insane. But at the same time, like, why does he really need? Why does he really need to go to Florida? He could do everything in New York. He doesn't need to do that. Home detention, an anklet. Okay, his passport he already gave over. Okay, the passports of 5 other family members, which we already heard about this before. Continued efforts to sell his airplane. Okay, and a restriction on bringing the plane to any district in which Mr. Combs is located. But like I said, you can go and buy another plane. You could go and pay another pilot. Here's $1 million. Just fly me out of here. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy to do that. Okay. Restricting all visitors to Combs residents, except family, caretakers, and friends not considered to be co-conspirators. But here's the thing. The friends are co-conspirators. Come on. They're all co-conspirators. It doesn't matter. Everybody's a suspect. And that's how it should be looked at. You really are going to sit there and go, no. Only my friends, caretakers, and friends that aren't considered co-conspirators. Everyone is a suspect, in my personal opinion. But let's continue. He says, with no female visitors except family and mothers of Combs' children, with a daily visitor log shared with pretrial services. That thing can be redacted all day long. You can't tell me some girl or some man's gonna show up, slide on through, and the guy's like, the bodyguard's like, okay, well, I gotta write it down. I'm about to write, and he goes, no. Hey, no. You don't have to write this one down. Yeah, she here. She a friend. Okay. Stop. Moving on. No contact with known grand jury witnesses. Weekly drug testing. Okay. All other standard conditions of pretrial supervision. Okay. Like I said, they can just not write somebody down that shows up. Okay. The man's and the women's. Shush. During the hearing, counsel supplemented the package with the following additional conditions, specifically designed to prevent any witness tampering or obstruction. So here we go. 24-hour monitoring, okay, of him by a third party security force. Sage intelligence. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I didn't know that herb was so smart. But moving on, which employs I'm dumb. Which employs former federal and state law enforcement officers. Okay. You can't tell me he can't pay somebody off. This is a man with a lot of money, y'all. This is a man with a lot of money. No access to the internet. Come on, no phones. So, like I said, it sounds like he's in jail. So you might as well just keep him there. If he can't use no internet, can't use no phone, restrict visitor access to only a pre-approved list of visitors to be shared with the government, pretrial services, and the court, video camera monitoring of him if necessary, you might as well keep him in jail. Oh, there's more, I think. In addition, during the hearing, defense counsel repeatedly made clear Mr. Combs would accept any other conditions the court deemed necessary. Counsel offered, quote unquote, to put together a protocol so that the court is absolutely satisfied and comfortable that there is quite literally no way that Combs would be able to conduct any kind of contact, do anything with a witness of any nature. Okay, we'll do whatever needs to be done. We can have any protocol that your honor sees fit. We can do whatever your honor thinks is necessary. Have mercy. Like I said, he is willing to do anything because he wants to be free like Amistad. Give us a free. Give us a free. He wants to be free. The question still remains. Will the judge grant it? This is a brand new judge. They literally are taking everything. He's like, man, I will stop eating pork, man. I will stop eating meat. I will be vegan. I swear to God. He's this desperate. He is this desperate. I will eat glass. I swear. Like, it's that bad, guys. Oh, man. Okay, moving on. E. Apparently he likes doing that too. Anyway, the district court's ruling. So, the court denied bail and granted the government's detention request at the end of September 18th at that hearing, stating, I find that the government has carried its burden of persuasion by clear and convincing evidence on dangerousness, on dangerousness, that's a new one, both for obstruction and witness tampering, as well as danger more generally, even if the defense has rebutted the presumption by coming forward with their burden of production. The court stated it, quote unquote, need not reach flight risk. Interesting. The court further stated the government has proven by clear and convincing evidence that there is no condition or combination of conditions that will reasonably assure the safety of a person in the community, as well that Mr. Combs will not obstruct justice or tamper with witnesses. So again, they were concerned about the tampering of witnesses, okay? The obstruction of justice and the tampering with witnesses. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I'd be concerned about that too, okay? And the court is doing, I feel, in their decision is rightfully so. That's just what I think. But moving on. The court rejected Mr. Combs' proposed bail package and adopted the government's argument that under the proposed conditions, the defendant would still have access to employees and other individuals, and thus could not obstruct justice and intimidate witnesses through those folks, even though through even coded messages if necessary. So the court made no findings of fact and provided no further indication why it concluded detention was necessary. On the 3rd of October, just a little bit ago, the case was reassigned to Judge Subramanian. I don't know how to say that name. I'm going to have to hear somebody else say that out loud because that's a new one. Okay. So they're saying it's a new judge. So they're hoping that maybe a miracle can happen. Maybe a miracle will happen. And we will see nonetheless. Right. But again, I really don't see this guy getting out. There still is a possibility he can get out, but I really don't think he's going to get out. All right. But hold on really quick. Nurse for God. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay. I'm working hard out here in these streets. And real quick, before we continue on, do me this solid. Okay. Okay. Hit that like button down below, please. And thank you. Crush it, crush it, crush it. All right. Hit that like button down below. Let's see where we're at real quick as far as the likes. Oh, dear God. What the hell? Okay, guys. Hit the like button, please. Okay, if you're watching over here, please hit the hearts over there. And I got the rose thing up above there, too. If you just want to, if you want to gift me for taking the time to give you guys the documents and reading the documents with you guys, please and thank you. Hit that like button down below if you're watching on YouTube. Let's get it. Come on, let's get it to 600 likes. I think that's fair. That's not much, okay? And a like don't cost a thing. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button though too, okay? We got a lot going on and we are covering a lot of stuff, okay? Thank you so much for the roses, Kayla. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Debbie. I appreciate the love on the TikTok. Let's continue on though, all right? So let me get a little bit smaller here. All right. Rulings of law in bail proceedings. Okay. Standards of the review. Okay. So let's skip some of this because it's a lot of Greek. I'm kidding. It's a lot of Latin. Okay. But let's move on. Like I said, there's fluff in here. All right. Whether conditions will reasonably assure that the defendant's appearance and the safety of the community is a mixed question of law and fact reviewed for clear error. The clearly erroneous standard does not apply. If the court has made an error of law, in which case the court findings should be set aside. If, for example, the court does not consider the factors set forth in this particular filing here, or in this particular, I don't know what that is. I guess in some filing here. In reaching its ultimate finding on the existence or non-existence of conditions, the finding will be subject to more flexible review. The court's findings will also be subject to plenary review if it rests on the a predicate finding which reflects a misperception of a legal rule applicable to the particular factor involved. This is jargon. Okay. Okay. Argument. The district court erroneously concluded that Combs presented a risk of obstructing justice and witness tampering. So this court has held that, quote unquote, clear and convincing evidence that there exists a serious risk of obstruction of witness or witness tampering can justify pretrial detention. But there was no clear and convincing evidence supporting detention here. The circumstances justifying detention in prior cases were completely different. And the court's contrary conclusion reflects a misperception of the applicable law. First, the government's proffer concerning alleged obstruction and witness tampering was too thin to support detention. The proffer highlighted 2 points. One, the video, the hotel video, okay, and Mr. Combs' alleged contacts with and two, the alleged contacts with the witnesses. Regarding the 8.5-year-old video, the defense robust competing proffer explained Combs' decade-long consensual relationship with Cassie, the video's context, and that both parties had subsequently participated in rehab. And the witness contacts, the government cited were minimally relevant or entirely innocuous. For example, the government emphasized that Mr. Combs had contacted the witnesses, but these contacts were largely related to civil suits filed before the indictment, and most occurred before he even knew there was an investigation. These communications, the substance of which the government did not fully disclose, hardly reflect threats, obstruction, or witness tampering, even with the respect to 2 grand jury witnesses. The government claims Mr. Combs contacted, even with the respect to 2 grand jury witnesses the government claims Mr. Combs contacted, the government could only vaguely represent that there were 14 total contacts between Combs and 1 witness, and the other witness was contacted multiple times. That was it. The government provided no further detail, nor did the government share how these witnesses even perceived the contacts. The government's silence on this point is telling because the proffer was implausible on its face. While the government suggested witnesses have universally one-for-one expressed to prosecutors their extreme fear of Mr. Combs, at least one of these witnesses proactively reached out to Mr. Combs to tell him she was a grand jury witness. And once defense counsel learned Mr. Combs was contacted by a potential grand jury witness, they immediately instructed him to cease any such contact, in which he did. Clear and convincing evidence requires that the evidence support the conclusion with a high degree of certainty. The government did not meet this burden. The proffer provided no basis to believe Mr. Combs had threatened, intimidated, or otherwise attempted to tamper with witnesses, and fell far short of demonstrating a quote-unquote serious risk of obstruction or witness tampering in the future. Interesting. In any case, the defense's competing proffer adequately rebutted the government's allegations and, at a minimum, left the evidence, I don't even know that word, in equipoise. Okay, don't know that word. That's a new one for me. Second, the court misapplied precedent. The cases the government relied upon are far afield. In Leon, for example, there was quote unquote ample proof that the defendant had threatened 2 potential witnesses, including through explicit threats to his arresting officers that he would quote unquote get even or see to it they went on a very long vacation. The findings of threats rested on strong evidence in the record, including witness testimony at the bail hearing. And LaFontaine was a bail revocation decision under this filing, or this case, so a much lower burden of proof, probable cause applied. Even still, LaFontaine rested on actual evidence that while on bail, the defendant shredded documents, attempted to contact and intimidate the witnesses, and lied in an affidavit to the court. The non-binding decision in this particular case likewise involved a bail revocation proceeding under the lower probable cause standard. In cases where the government's proffer is as thin as the one here, the risk of witness tampering or obstruction is not supported by clear and convincing evidence. Now, here's the thing, because of course they're throwing out other cases and trying to use, reference those cases and basically saying, hey, that's, this person is doing this person is doing that, and those cases are perfect examples of people trying to obstruct or do some witness tampering. Now, here's the thing, though. The way that they're speaking it, the way that they're breaking it down, they're making it seem like Diddy was just oblivious, that one of the witnesses contacted him a bunch of times because, they wanted to let him know that they were going to be a grand jury witness. Now, here's the thing, though. I'm going to say this again. How many times do you need to call somebody to let them know that you're going to be a grand jury witness? He was in contact with that particular person, talking to them several times. Now, it could be text messages and phone calls being added in there, but he still was in a lot of communication with that person. So, like I said, how many times do you need to call somebody to let them know that you're a witness to a trial or to a case that they're the defendant in? Just saying. Just doesn't make sense. So for me, just because you got Leon, right? Or no, not Leon. Which one was it? Yep, it was Leon, who's sitting here going, "Oh yeah, you're going to be on a very long. I'll see to it that you get on a very long vacation." And then he's out there, messing with people and all that, showing that there's a strong record and strong evidence of him tampering with things. Okay, fine. That's one thing, right? That's very blatant. Okay, same thing with LaFontaine. Okay, very blatant. But there's other ways of someone to do. There's other ways for someone to tamper and mess with people and witnesses in a case that they're the defendant in. Let's keep it real. But again, I feel like these lawyers, his team, is doing everything they can. They're doing everything they can to move the goalpost as best as they can. I don't know. Somebody's like, who's Leon? I have no idea who Leon is. Okay. I do not know. That is a part of, I guess, another, like I said, whenever it comes to these kinds of, like these filings, these kinds of paperwork, they will do everything they can to bring up other cases, for example. So it'd be like, Hershey versus the US. You know what I mean? So they'll pull those things out to show like, hey, this is a good example of someone who is willing to tamper with evidence, tamper with witnesses, so on and so forth. Here's another case where that worked out in that way as well. See what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, that's what they're doing. They're referencing specific cases that would fit. That's like, okay, with the Leon case, this is a perfect example of somebody messing with witnesses and being, trying to obstruct justice. Same thing with LaFontaine. Here's another one, and then of course it would be a thing of like, if the judge, I'm assuming the judge would know this case, or they would look it up at least to see what was going on with that particular case and all that. You see what I'm saying? So that's what they do. And you'll see that a lot in a lot of these kinds of filings and a lot of these kinds of documents. Okay. So let's see what else we got here. I mean, for me, this is all the stuff. A lot of this is just, like the fluff. Okay. But, and of course, they keep saying it. And to me, I feel like they're saying the same thing over and over and over again. Right. It's a lot of the same stuff. They're basically saying, like, hey, like right here, even just looking at this right here, Mr. Combs should be released because, regardless of the government's untested allegations, the proposed conditions will reasonably assure his appearance and the safety of the community. I mean, again, all of this other stuff, they're putting in a lot of other legal jargon, a lot of stuff like, hey, here's a case that would definitely fit into our argument here. Here's another case that would fit perfectly in our argument, so on and so on and so on. But like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. Okay. But again, they truly believe that they truly believe that the prosecution, okay, the government, the feds, did not do a good enough job in presenting their argument the last time when they had an appeal. But the thing is this was enough for that judge. Whatever the government presented, whatever the feds presented, it was enough for the judge at that time to go, yeah, he's a danger, to obstruct justice and to tamper with witnesses. So he gonna stay locked up. In fact, you heard it in the paperwork right here. It wasn't so much that they were scared about him being a flight risk. Oh, no. They're more concerned about him messing with witnesses and victims. And they use those examples. And of course, they're going, well, they say he talked to them several times, but they don't tell us exactly how many times they called him. I feel like more than one time is enough to be like, yo, that's questionable. Why are you in correspondence with this person so damn much? When you know for a fact, if they initially called you to say, hey, I'm a witness I'm a grand jury witness to one of your cases, and you call them and talk to them more than 14 times or something like that, that's questionable, y'all. I mean, it goes without question. It's questionable, y'all, and it goes without question. But it's crazy to think that you're not going to look at that and side-eye that ish. Every judge should be side-eyeing that. And then on top of it, let us not forget, this is also another situation, right? Like I said, even Marcus G, okay, intimidation and escape. Absolutely. Intimidation and escape. But they're not, like I said, they're not worried about him being a flight risk. That's not it. They're worried about him going out here and intimidating and making these witnesses, these victims' lives a living hell while he's sitting out there festering without internet and TV or without internet and phone and women's and possible man's and all that stuff. Real talk. He'll just be holed up in his wherever he ends up staying, not being able to do a damn thing if he is set free. But he'll be locked up in his home, not allowed to do anything. And I'm telling you right now, if he's freed, he's still going to be able to exact his power, his influence and whatnot. You mean to tell me that all the people that are all looking up to him, still thinking that he can do no wrong, all those people that suck up to him, think that he's the bomb.com? Yeah, I said it. You don't think that they're going to be willing to do whatever it takes to be on his good side? Sure, he's going to lose a lot of friends. I'm sure he's lost a lot. There's a lot of people in Hollywood that want nothing to do with him right now. That's understandable. But at the same time, if he gets out, there's going to be a lot of other people that still are like, oh man, it's still an opportunity. You don't think that he's going to use his influence, his power, his connections, because he's still going to have connections for all those people that still look up to him. It's like, hey, do this for me and I'll get you a record deal. You got some real talent, kid. But I need you to do this for me real quick. Okay, I need you to go across the street, buy a burner phone, call up this, this particular such and such. I'm just saying. And threaten them and then hang up, get rid of that phone. Or even worse. So in my personal opinion, I think it's a very, very bad idea to let this man go. Again, you have 120 some odd individuals that are all, and possibly more, that are all chomping at the bit to try to get their own version of justice, whether it be financial or if it's criminal or legal. But he should not be let go. He shouldn't. But like I said, guys, I mean, this it's just the same, thusly and therefore and all that stuff. We already heard everything. Okay. They believe that the government they feel like the government's argument in the last appeal was weak sauce. And they believe that that Diddy has been locked up unjustly and he should be let go. He should be allowed to be free. And I say to you guys, what say you? You know what I mean? What say you on that? Are you with that or not? Should he be let go? I mean, let's not forget, as much as the court of public opinion has already put in their thoughts, we all have our thoughts on this, okay? A lot of us already feel like he did that and he should get exactly what's coming to him, right? We all have our personal opinions on this, but he still is human. He still has rights, just like any other human being. Should he be let go? Under those circumstances, I'm not sitting here going like, set him free, because he's just going to run out there and wreak havoc. Trust. People are going to be ending up missing. People are going to end up missing up in this piece, and we don't want that. Okay? We really don't want that. All right? Let me see. S-dubs. I missed it. Why is there a new judge? And yes, please hit that like. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. That's the one thing I'm still trying to understand. That has not been disclosed. They've never explained why this judge stepped down. And I think that's weird. But at the same time, you never know. Maybe this judge is a rock star. This new judge might be dope as hell. You never know. Or this judge might be exactly what Diddy needs. But we'll see. We will definitely see what happens here. Anything is possible. Pretty wild stuff, though, guys. Pretty wild stuff. But that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, we still got a lot to talk about. We're going to be, I may be back on tonight, but I am keeping an eye on the hurricane. So if I do something tonight, it may be something that's breaking news or it has to do with the hurricane, because I really do give a damn about that. And of course, we want to make sure our loved ones are safe and away from this craziness, right? But we'll find out what's going on, okay? I may be on, like I said, in a few hours to talk about that. And then tomorrow, just so you guys know, they're back in court. And I think they're making that decision, whether or not he's going to be set free or not. So we'll be watching that. We'll be on Diddy Watch again. I know, it's like it never stops. It never stops. When is it going to stop? Well, you know, it is what it is. We're just going to have to deal with it. But it starts tomorrow. So we will be on Diddy Watch. And I'm sure it will be glorious. Okay? It'll be something else. All right? But anyway, I'll be back on in a couple hours. Much love to you guys. Please hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you're watching on the TikTok, if you're watching on Rumble as well, please show some love. Hit that like. Hit that follow button. Follow me on the Tiki. Follow me on the Rumbles. Okay? Hit that subscribe button on my main channel. Go to my secondary channel because I do have a new video that just dropped about an hour and a half ago. So go check it out on the second channel, the Pascal Show clips. Make sure you hit that notification bell. And set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. Please and thank you. All right. And of course, support if you can. Check out my locals. Check out my Patreon. Check out my membership right here. I also have a membership on the second channel as well. I just started it, which is awesome. So go and check it out. Please and thank you. All right. And support if you can. Check out my merch page, pascalmerch.com. Okay. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. I'll see you guys in a little bit because we are on that Hurricane Milton watch for sure. Okay. So I'll talk to you guys very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. We'll talk soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.